and good morning. Welcome to Morning Buzz. It's Friday of Creative Week. We made it to our final day of celebrations. It's been such a fun, wild week. We wish it could go on all year, but now we got to take in all that money from the awards and put it into programs that make this industry better for all of us in it. But the week's not over just yet. Tonight, we'll gather at Hammerstein Ballroom and celebrate 50 years of The One Show. Let's hear it for The One Show. We're excited to see all the winning work, look back on 5 decades of excellence in advertising, brush elbows with living legends, and close out this week in style. But before we get there, we still have an episode of Morning Buzz to do, and let me tell you, this is going to be the best episode yet. I mean, for one, just look at this audience. Right? Am I right? Let's hear it for you guys. I also have been dying to introduce you to this incredible artist I have in store for today's member feature, who will knock your socks off, so get ready. But before that, we have what I know will be an incredible panel with 4 Titan heads of production at the biggest agencies in North America discussing the production renaissance upon us. Audience at home and here in the gallery, get those questions ready, because these folks ain't no joke. Are you ready? I said, are you ready? Yeah. Please help me welcome your moderator for the panel, Gianni, Executive Vice President, Head of Content Production at BBDO. Let's give it up for Alex.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Adam. It's nice to see you all here today. Thank you for coming. I'm shaking out the cobwebs here, but I see a lot of familiar faces. Thank you for coming. And for everyone at home, thanks for dialing in. So Adam, as he mentioned, I'm Gianni. I'm the Executive Vice President of Content Production at BBDO New York. Excited to be here. Before we jump into this production discussion with this incredible, esteemed, and respected panel, I wanted to thank Adam for inviting us to host this episode of Morning Buzz, and the One Club for being a creative beacon that supports, teaches, celebrates the global creative community. I wanted to now thank this panel for joining us here this morning to share their insights, thoughts, knowledge, and viewpoints regarding this production renaissance we find ourselves in. Okay, I got that out of the way. I'm feeling a little better. So
you got this. You got this.
Keep the applause going. So to kick things off, I'll have each of you introduce yourselves and maybe tell us a fun fact.
Should I go first? Okay.
Yes.
I'm Lora Schulson. I'm the head of production of 72 North America, based in Brooklyn. And my fun fact, it's a tough one, guys, but my fun fact is when I was a senior in high school, before TikTok, I'm looking at you, before TikTok and Instagram and all of that, I was in the #1 video of that year. And, you know, I guess the name of the video are words that I still live by. It's called Fight for Your Right to Party, and it's a band called the Beastie Boys. So if you Google me after this, or Google that video, you'll see me on the couch. You'll lose all respect for me. So, anyway, yeah, it's still my fun fact after all those years.
All right, I'll go next. I'm Doris, Head of Production at TBWA, Chiat, New York, born and raised in New Jersey, as you can hear. And my random fact is that I also have a brother called Doris, who owns a production company in London, which confuses the hell out of everybody in the industry. He is not the real Doris. He used his middle name 12 years ahead of me. So now it just confuses everyone, and it always makes for an interesting dinner story, though. So there you go.
Hi, I'm Melissa Tifrere, Head of Production at Havas, New York. My fun fact is I have family in the music industry, so throughout all high school and college, I spent almost every night and day in music studios and on sets of music videos. And that's kind of how I got into wanting to be part of the creative community and make things.
That's awesome. Guys, thank you for being here today. I thought we'd start out with artificial intelligence. I think it's sort of commanding news headlines. I think it's important we touch it and we get into it right out of the gate. So here's the first question. The AI craze is one of the hot topics. How do you all see AI influencing the ad industry, and how do agencies adapt and prepare for this workflow? Laura, I guess we'll start with you.
I guess I'll go first. Anybody who's been in the business for, more than a year or two is like, oh God, here we go, AI, eye roll. But I think what we do know is that we're about to see an incredibly seismic change in our industry. Things are about to get insane. Production is about to evolve to a place that we are only beginning to see where it could go. And I think I feel excited about it because I think it's going to give us a ton of creative opportunity. Things that we do know about AI right now is that it's going to allow us to move faster. It's going to allow us to automate. It's going to allow us to imagine worlds that only our brains combined with computer brains can imagine. Both Doris and I saw a presentation this week from a company called First Avenue Machine, and that one project there's a project that we saw that I was like, oh, this kind of sums up how awesome things are about to be. It was for a used car dealership, right, or used car app or something, and they wanted to make 1 million pieces of bespoke content for everybody who bought a car through this app. So they made 1.2 million pieces of content, bespoke to each person. And, we've been talking about volumes of content for a long time, but this is like getting to the next level. And the thing that's really interesting is that they built an AI module to be able to review all of that content, because as humans, it would take us 5 years to look at all of those pieces of content. So shit's about to get crazy.
It is. It's already getting crazy. I love that you said seismic change. I keep referring to it as like the genie's out of the bottle, or as I tell my children, the toothpaste came out of,
Or the discovery of fire. That's what I keep hearing. It's like the discovery of fire.
That's good as well. John, what do you think?
I think we just have to embrace it, like, wholeheartedly. It is very easy to be, slightly fearful. It's going to take jobs and all that, but I think, it's going to make us more efficient. It's going to kind of step in and take repeatable tasks, like within the agency process, just to hopefully allow us to spend our time on a lot of the things we want to be doing, which is kind of creative ideas. And I think the example Laura mentioned for Carvana that First Avenue Machine did was mind-blowing. And I think once we kind of harness the potential and really kind of lean in, it will kind of open us up to some unbelievable creative that just would never have been possible before. And I think, we all kind of have to jump on the train and start to bring that into our agencies so that it can kind of unearth some of these kind of potential ideas that you have to understand the technology to even get to the idea, So I feel like it's going to be what's possible within AI, almost in a creative brief, to start to try and unearth some ways in and some things that, creatives just would not have thought of without this being, available to us the way it is now. And I'm old enough to remember the internet kind of first coming around, and, everyone was like, holy shit. And I feel like AI is the internet and Google on steroids, so I think we just embrace it and be open to all the possibilities. And I think it will make us better, and it'll make the work and the industry better.
I agree. I think it's an incredibly powerful tool, and has, over the years in production, I think that we need to look at it as a tool in our tool belt, and how we use it is a matter of creativity. It's where human ingenuity meets creativity. Melissa, what do you think?
No, I agree. I think it's just going to be another tool that we need to adopt and figure out how to make it work for us. I don't ever see not needing humanity and creativity. So I don't think it's going to take over. There's that, I don't know if anyone knows that new Drake song. It's called Artificial Insecurity. It's a brilliant title because everyone's scared of it, but I think we just need to use it for what we want to use it for, just to make the work better.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of fear around, is this going to replace all of our jobs? And I do think it is going to replace some jobs, menial, like you said, menial tasks, like, when you're in the visual effects stage and you're doing cleanup on a car and you have to have a human who sets that look, but now the machine learning can figure out how to apply that look to all the additional scenes. So maybe you need less flame artists on your job, but it's going to develop new jobs that we're starting to see, like prompt writers. You were saying you guys have prompt writers. And what else? I don't know. But so I think, none of us are AI experts. We're just heads of departments, but we're curious curators of the new. So I think as long as like us folks in the ad industry are playing with the technology or bringing in the people who are playing with it on the daily, we're going to figure it out.
Yeah, I think it's additive as well. It's not AI by itself. I think when it's AI with AR, VR, Unreal Engine, once you start to kind of one informs the other, and that's when we'll start to kind of open up. And traditional filmmaking as well, AI will open up opportunities that we will still need to shoot. So I think it's just going to be an additive tool that we can kind of bring into our system to make better work.
Yeah, I agree. I think we could take 30 plus minutes to talk about AI. So save your questions, ask us. We're going to move on to the next question. Melissa, I'm going to aim this one at you. How have your staffing needs evolved in relation to content creation in this new media landscape?
Well, I will say you no longer have a million producers that just specialize in one thing. The old school way of thinking, like, I only just do film, like that just doesn't work, because almost everything that comes across my desk is something different. I need producers who are thinking about how to pull off scrappy TikToks, how to produce content for social. Lately, it's a lot of stunt events, which takes a totally different way of executing and thinking. So it's just finding producers that are hungry and like have that passion to find new ways to make things. And I mean, that's really what I'm looking for when I'm looking for a new producer to come in.
I love that you use the word scrappy. We have to be scrappy. Even at BBDO, where we're a large agency with a big holding company, scrappy and is part of our DNA. We're making both big and small every single day. It's not just a big TV ad any longer. We shot a TikTok yesterday in the office that ended up in a pitch yesterday that did the job. And we just did it, on platform super quickly, put it into the deck. And I love that you used the word scrappy. John, any thoughts?
Similar.
Builds?
I think it's, you need to kind of produce for the medium now, and TikTok and social is everywhere, and you need to be native to that. And I think it's opening up a new way of producing with, internal makers and small little teams that we kind of build in-house, which we've done, just to be able to take the brief and go and run, shoot it, come back, edit, put it out there and learn and go again. So I think it's a fun new way of working, and it's given a lot of the producers in my department an opportunity just to go out there, get hands on and make stuff without having to go through all the agency layers that we'd maybe gotten used to. So it's a fun new way of making.
Same. Same. No, I'm looking at the audience, and there are a lot of young people here, and I think, we need you. You grew up using your phone. You grew up on these platforms. Like, you're like, yeah, I shot a TikTok this morning too. Big deal. So I think, we do need experts. We do need people who have experience on some of the things, but I think there's a whole new generation of people coming in who are going to show us the new way, and like we want more of that as heads of department. That's what we're looking for. We're looking to teach the new generation, but we're looking for them to teach us too. Like that's the exciting part. Like that's what's driving more seismic change.
Yeah, the youth in our department and how quick they're able to adapt and make things is scary. And, coming from a different generation where, the internet was what was new when I first entered the business. I'm not that old, but, I just think it's incredible for agencies to tap into how the younger generation was just born on platform. So it's an exciting future as you guys enter into the world of advertising and marketing. All right, we're going to move it along. So, John, this one's for you. Speed, agility, and cost efficiency is our new reality. What are some of the infrastructures your production department and agency are investing in to stay competitive?
I think I touched upon it previously. I think, smaller, nimble, autonomous teams that consist of maybe a writer, a shooter editor, somebody that can do graphics, or one of those people can do graphics as well. And, just not having all the layers. So our internal studio has gone from, 2 people when I joined to about 40 plus now, which I love because it is just this team of hungry, ready to go makers. And so that's become a much bigger part of our agency than it was. It's almost taken briefs directly with kind of creative production, everything built in. That's one of the big shifts that's just allowed us to be much more nimble and scrappy and just go.
I love that. I think our in-house studio model as well is built on the idea of makers. And it's no longer just about a specialty. It's more about who could bring what to the table. So that's how we've designed it at BBDO. Our department is a series of makers. They come from different backgrounds, disciplines, and it's what they bring to the table. And when we can put them in groups, that's really where the magic unfolds. Lora, any builds?
Yeah, I was going to say, back in the day, in the earlier days, production always kind of came in late in the game, like there'd be, creative geniuses who would come up with this amazing idea, and then they'd pass the baton to us, and then we'd have to figure it out. Now we are involved from the get-go, because you can't move that fast if you're not thinking about how you're making it. So we're all doing the same thing where a lot of projects need a small SWAT team, and that's that. And you don't call a big production company for everything. For some things, sure, they're still great partners for a lot of things. But yeah, we all have those small SWAT teams. But I think just, in the time that we've been in the industry, it's shifted so much in terms of us, we're all working towards a fast timeline, a small budget, a bazillion deliverables. There's no way to do that without production being involved from the get-go.
Yeah, and it still has to be good. I remember it used to be like the 3 things.
Yeah.
What is it? Fast. Yeah. But now everyone wants all 3. I mean, at Havas, I actually have mixed in content creators with producers. So it's we have those people that if it's just a quick TikTok or social thing, that can actually just go and shoot it in the studio downstairs and just pump it out and edit it and do the graphics themselves. So yeah, it's just finding ways to be nimble and acting quickly on client asks that come in for social stuff.
I think creatives, we used to hire creatives to do one thing and then makers to do the other. And now I'm seeing at our agency and in a lot of agencies, the creatives are also makers. Because why wouldn't they be? Because they've been using those tools again since they were born.
Yeah, I think the lines have blurred as well. I think the investment at BBDO is looking at both the youth and our stable of creatives and just the influence of, getting a brief and getting it to market at speed and sometimes scale has been critical to our growth. All right, moving right along. Lora, this one's for you. How do we define craft in this period of rapid to market content creation?
I like this one. I think craft is a word that we've always used in advertising, and it feels a little bit old-fashioned now, and I think we kind of have to redefine what craft actually means, because craft kind of connotes big, laborious, slow, expensive, pixel fucking, It's just sorry, bad word, no class, but, and now I think we have to think about what is the right level of production value for the window that it lives in. What's the media plan? What's the play? What platform is it living on? It has to feel authentic. If you make a TikTok that looks like a TV ad, you failed. Mm-hmm. So I think the word craft maybe has to be retired. And I think what I would say to any producer or creative is consideration. Like, we still care about the work being cool and interesting, but it doesn't have to be fancy, crafted. Sometimes you just don't have the time to craft, but you have the time to give consideration. Is this cool? Is this interesting? So yeah, I'm all for retiring craft.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's like redefining the word craft, because a new craft could almost just be finding the right content creator on Instagram already that's right for the brand and also has the creative look that the creatives are going for. And that could be a craft in itself, just finding that right person and working with them to get stuff made.
Curation.
Yeah.
I was an art history major, which was, I intended to go into the art world, but then I didn't want to be broke, and I thought maybe I could make more money in advertising, and it's been great. But yeah, I think a big part of our job is being a curator. Not just putting the right team together, but sometimes just finding the one right person now.
I love that we said authenticity, because I keep hearing that word, right? You need to be authentic on platform. And I think that clients are hip to that as well. If we show up on TikTok and some other social platforms and we have a conceited idea that is ad specific, well, someone's going to move past it fairly quickly. John, any builds from you?
No, agree with everything that's said. I think it's like just producing for the platform, and like the favorite thing we did this year for me at TBWA was the Hilton TikTok, the 10-minute TikTok, and it was by far probably my favorite thing. I need to think there isn't anything else. I'm not going to offend someone, but because it was just so right for the platform and what it was, and it was just leaning into everything that TikTok does and is, and it hacked the platform and kind of made you stay with it, but it was also well crafted for what it was, and I think it was well crafted for TikTok, and it kind of felt right for that audience. So
Laura, I love that you said that we have to redefine that word. I think that's right on. I think the word needs to be redefined. We keep landing on the subject of talent and our makers. So this is a good segue to the next question. So John, this one's for you. Attracting and retaining talent is critical. Can you share your experiences on best practices you use to develop, attract, retain rising talent?
Yeah, one of my tactics is I do not take anyone from Lora Schulson, and she doesn't take anyone from me. We've made that pact.
Can I get in on that rule?
You want to get in on this? All right, okay. We've got a safe space. Yeah, Gianni takes whoever he wants. I think when it comes to talent, how do I say this? I think it's all about kind of giving opportunity, and then giving recognition, and then kind of giving growth as well. So I feel like those three things are very important in kind of retaining people, keeping people happy, and making them feel like they're on the right path and they're getting the opportunity. Like, there's nothing worse than a junior producer that gets stuck just doing junior producer tasks of like covering an edit, doing it, voiceover, but never actually getting that opportunity to step up and, really own their own project. And I do think the new world of where we're producing for so many mediums and getting a bit scrappier and nimbler and making more has been good in allowing producers to kind of own their own thing and not always feel like they're second or third in line to a bigger, huge production team of a $5 million production. So I think it's just kind of being mindful that giving people the opportunities to do the things and then recognize them for that and then give them a growth path so they know where they're going. I try and do that. Don't always get it 100% right, and it's hard to manage across 40 people, but we try and do our best just to make everyone feel like they're an important part of the department and we're invested in their career.
Yeah. I think that also institutional knowledge on brands. I mean, we have big brands, and we have to have sort of intrinsic knowledge on that brand, its sensibilities, and having someone that has a cadence with that brand is critical. So I believe in development as well and giving people opportunities. Melissa, any thoughts?
No, I mean, I agree with John. I think you need to give people a roadmap to their career, so they know where they're going, what they need to do to get to the next step. Because I feel like mostly all my producers are great at their job, but it's like they all want to know, like, when's the next step coming? And it's like we just sit down and it's like, here's what you need to do to get there, and let's just keep working on it together, and just build on your experience.
That's great. Laura?
I mean, I think everything you both said was true. You know, everybody wants growth, growth in experience, growth in title, growth in money. So I think we as, you know, the leaders of our teams need to know our people and know what they're looking for and try to, you know, help them figure out how to continue to grow. And this isn't just for juniors. This is for somebody, you know, who's been doing it for 20 years. Like, there's still opportunity for growth because everything's changing so much. You know, we've all had producers who, you know, at one point in their career, are like, I'm an art producer. Oh, I'm just a film producer. And it's like, no. Now there's, you know, now you're going to have to do more than that. So there's so much opportunity for growth for everyone. So how do you look at the person, figure out what else they need to know to be I always say the super producer of the future, you know? So yeah, give them growth. Maybe they'll stay, maybe they won't.
That's great. Thank you, guys. And I would say for the students in the room, I think that, you know, and I'd like to get your thoughts on this, you know, I put a resume aside usually. I want to meet somebody. If we can have them at the office, even better. But, you know, having the option of seeing people remote works as well. And the makeup at BBDO looks very different this day. You know, you used to look at a resume and say, well, what's your production background? You know, how long have you been in the industry? And I would say at BBDO, I think that what makes the department so special is that not everybody's background looks the same. And I think that that's why the work shows up in such a meaningful way. Do you guys want to elaborate on that a little bit? How is the makeup of the department, disciplines? Anyone?
I think they're definitely linked. Like, I think we have to be very mindful about the department you build and the mix of skill sets you build, because, like, in some ways that is what keeps people happy, like having the right balance. If you've got too many of one thing and then they all start doing the thing they're not comfortable doing, that's when some complaining can kick in, and I don't want to do this because I normally do that, which kind of has to go away a little bit now, because to your point, it's less about you're a big film producer, you're a social producer. Everyone can have the thing where they start, but I think everyone should be like going across and trying different things. And to us, it's, you know, you can never predict production and when it's going to hit. And so you're literally looking across your bench and be like, who can I put on this thing right now? So you just kind of need to have that diversity in your team, that there's a good chance that you've got someone that will be right for it and you haven't just over kind of indexed on one specific thing. So it's trying to build that diversity in and the flexibility for people to be open to jumping across different projects and disciplines.
Go ahead, go. No, you go.
Like John said, it's like all about like the casting for the project. And some people feel more comfortable doing things like the stunts and the events or broadcast stuff. But I think it's also forcing people out of their comfort zone. So the person who only wants to do the film is like, nope, you're going to do this stunt or this event. We're going to see how it goes.
But we're going to support you.
Yeah, exactly, with lots of support.
Yeah.
So it's like getting everyone comfortable to try everything. And like some people may not be comfortable with something and they want to do something else, which is totally fine. But I think as long as you try, you can get your team to try things and figure out who's right for what.
I was just going to add that, you know, in terms of new talent or how do we bring people in? Yeah, it's less about the resume, especially when you're fresh out of school. Like, you're not going to have a resume. I think it's a type of human, you know, someone who's open to learning, you know, curious. I mean, this is all obvious stuff, but like asks a million questions, you know, is passionate about things, media, you know, technology, art, film, you know, all the things. So I think we're all kind of looking for the same kind of human who kind of ticks all of those boxes, but then come from, we want diverse thought, diverse backgrounds. Like, you know, we don't want departments that are all the same. cookie cutter kind of human, that's not interesting, and that doesn't get to great work, and that's what we're all trying to do, you know?
Yeah, and passion is huge because production's not like a 9 to 5 job. It's almost a lifestyle, unfortunately, but it's a lifestyle.
true.
So you need to like what you're doing because you're going to be doing it a lot. So passion's like really key when looking for people.
Yeah, I think another way to look at it is just general curiosity. I think that my department is curious, and they're constantly taking a look at all the different models and new techniques, and the curiosity is what keeps the department discussing new emerging medias. So I think that that's critical. Let's see. All right. Melissa, we'll start here, this one with you. If you could give your 20-year-old self some career advice, what would it be?
I think I was very shy. I'm still a little shy, but I was really shy back then. So I think I would probably just tell myself, like, just calm down, be bolder, be louder, like, don't be scared to ask a question. Just don't be nervous. Don't be so nervous. Get it together.
I love that. John, same question.
Mine's similar in that, like, I think I would tell myself that, like, self-doubt and, like, that feeling of imposter syndrome is okay. And it's probably not going to go away. And I actually think it's kind of healthy because it constantly makes you keep trying to do better and better yourself. So never let that get you down, the self-doubt, imposter syndrome. Just embrace it and just jump on and enjoy the ride.
We all have that. It really never goes away. You just like quiet the voices. I guess I would tell my 20-year-old self, be on time. Try and be on time. Like, I do think, time management is hard, especially because there's like 8 bazillion trillion distractions. It's a small thing, but it's like it kind of starts with that. Because if you show up like bright-eyed, eager, and on time, everyone's like, all right, that's a great start.
Yeah, I love that. My early days were at MTV. That was my springboard into the business. I worked on Yo, and I also worked on Rock and Jock, MTV. I see some nodding heads in the back.
What is rocking, Joe?
It was when MTV was moving into long format IP, of which is known for now. They're not really playing music videos any longer. So yeah, I think that is all important and good points. We're almost at 30 minutes, and I wanted to leave an opportunity for some questions. So I think we're going to transition over to some questions. Adam, this mic or? Okay.
Do we have any questions in the audience? Yes. Well, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to ask a question while I make my way back there, and then I'll get this to you, sir. My question is, with all the new technology, is there one thing that you're looking forward to that you'll never have to do again?
Well, those COVID tests that had that little digital reader, I don't want to do that any longer. I want to put that in the rearview mirror. No, I think that all the technology continues to be relevant, both old and new. It's the way that we use it. Even the AI tools, we're going to figure out how to use them and implement them. So I don't think that there is a tool that completely goes away. You know, even if we shoot on film, I don't know if there's a lab in New York that can do one lights anymore, but I think that it's all relevant. It's sort of our palette, and it's how we apply it.
This may be dry and kind of boring, but you know what's going to be awesome is when you can automate resizing and it's done well, because that sucks. Like, you know, you have to make 3 billion deliverables, or not 3 billion, but 300, and they have to look good and they have to be right. And I saw there's some platform that claims it can do it. You know, we'll see. I don't know, we'll see. But it's coming. Yeah. And then my other one, and sorry, and then I'll stop hogging. My other one is, virtual production. We're at the beginning stages of that. It looks awesome for Mandalorian and Batman. It's not great for our industry yet for a million reasons we don't have time to discuss, but I am excited when we can stop destroying the planet by flying to all these places, even though I do love a shoot. So I don't think shoots are going to go away, but I think the footprint might get smaller. Oh, you have the mic.
What am I looking? Just like the mundane, horrible things, like session reports, completion reports. Like if all that could become automated by just kind of, machine learning, and it just takes care of that, that'd be nice.
Especially the resizing.
Yeah, the worst.
All right, so we're gonna get to your question, sir. If you'd give us your name and where you're from.
Hi, everyone. Noah Posnick here. I'm a freelance producer and production strategist. I'm curious to know, we've talked a lot about the new models and ways of working and how that's bringing on the importance of new talent, young people, scrappy. But can you talk a little bit about the role of the expert, of that, especially with new techniques, innovations, and technologies, ways of working, how the production department specifically, is there a responsibility to be the expert to your other departments, to the creative, to the account teams, but also to the clients themselves?
I'd say maybe in this conversation we've over-indexed on youth and the new, because I think you touched on it a little bit, like institutional knowledge. I think being an expert is super important. You need experts in the department, but you need a mix. You need a mix of experts and a mix of the new people who are going to push. But I think about, like, for example, virtual production. The experts are going to say, okay, that's cool, but does it look good, and is it right for everything? I think you need somebody who's done film production, knows how to get to good work, who's going to say, I'm not just going to deploy the shiny thing unless it's right. So I think you need a mix of experts, 100%. We just didn't talk about it that much.
Yeah, I would, look, experience counts for a lot. You can't deny experience. And if you've got a $5 million shoot, which we all still have, thank God, that, and you've got celebrities and you've got agents and you've got all the mayhem that comes with that, you still need someone that's been there, seen it, and knows how to navigate those things. And, that's tricky for anyone. So I feel like there will still be situations where you need the expert that's been there, seen it, done it, but then kind of supported by, and again, it will change depending on the projects. But I feel like experience in production is always going to be a necessary,
You continue to be open to learning.
Yeah.
You can be an expert, and that's awesome, but you have to be excited about the new also.
Yeah, I think
Excited to blow things up.
I think I said something like, I can't remember what it was I was talking about, and it was like a producer is like a ringmaster, and if you don't have a production can quickly become a circus if you don't have a good, solid producer. So,
Yeah, I'd be lost without my EPs. You need the experts in the room and the people who have been doing it for a long time, because not only do they know how to pull off anything and, like you said, know what's right for the project and advise creatives and account. They're also there to help the younger ones grow and kind of guide them and teach them the way, which we can't do on a day-to-day basis because there's a million things happening.
Yeah, I think it was a great question in that we need specialists at all corners in advertising. We wake up in the morning every day and we're confronted with business challenges that our clients trust us with, right? We need to be their experts, and then we need to come up with solutions that answer those demands. So I think having experts in the room along with all the emerging technology is just critical. That's how we get to scale and mass and answer, deep-rooted business challenges.
Thank you. Do we have another question from our audience? Yes. Name and where you're from, please.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Chelsea. I'm a graduate student at Columbia University. So my question would be, I know we are all really excited about a new technology, but do you have a really positive mind about whether a 10, 15-second video can provide enough information or leave a stronger impact as, the traditional a 1 minute, 2 minute TV ad?
You want to go?
Okay, sure. I was just going to say, there's no such thing as one piece of content that's going to answer all of your needs. This isn't new news, but we make a kind of a content ecosystem for every single project. There's probably multiple 15s, probably 6 seconds, probably something on, you're going to make, we typically make 300 deliverables per campaign, or more.
Yeah, I agree. And like the length thing has been flipped a little bit now. I remember it was always like asking for the long form. Where's the long form? We want to see the long form because that's got everything in it. I watch edits now and at times I find a 60-second too long. You know, I find myself going the other way and being like, where's the short version? Like I'm like waiting to get there, and everyone's attention span is so short now that I think a 15 can get it across in a more concise way than a 2-minute kind of, you know, long walk for a ham sandwich.
I was going to say, I also think it's incumbent on us, irrespective of the total running time, is to come up with an idea. If that idea delivers the message in 15 seconds, and we're buying media in 6 seconds sometimes, I think we're in the ideas business. So it's incumbent on us to make sure that irrespective of the time.
But we have to write to short form. Like if we're gonna tell a story in 15 seconds, that has to be in our mind, and we have to write to 15 seconds. This is the only thing you can nail in this one 15-second thing. You can nail some other point in another 15-second thing. Like you can't overwrite it or it's terrible.
Yeah, it's no longer the long form and then cut down.
Yeah.
And then figure out the 15 later. You almost have to think of the 15 and the 6
expand.
as you're writing it and as you're making it so that it cuts together. And like media buys are mostly all 6s and 15s now. So you show a client a 60, they're like, where's the 15? Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I think we're at time. Can we give it up for our panel? I feel like this could go on for days with lots of nuggets of knowledge there, but thank you so much, Laura, John, Melissa, and a huge thank you to Alex for putting this together. Thank you so much. All right, transition. All right, friends, buckle up. You might want to put on your sunglasses because my next guest is an absolute star. Lo Harris is an award-winning multidisciplinary artist who creates a more just and kind world through her bold, colorful, and empowering artwork. Since starting her artistic journey, she has quickly made a name for herself, working with a wide range of corporate and nonprofit clients, including Old Navy, Meta, American Express, Nick Jr., the United Nations Commission on Human Rights, U.S. Rep. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the NAACP, the Center for Anti-Racist Research, and more.
Hello. Thank you for the extensive introduction.
I have a little bit more, just to fill in that in addition to her work as an artist, Lo is also a passionate mentor and creates educational content and podcasts that inspire and uplifts aspiring artists while also fostering a culture of inclusivity and collaboration in the creative industry. This spring, Lo also served as a jury member for the ADC 102nd Annual Awards. Now, let's give it up for Lo Harris.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. I hope everybody got their buzz. The coffee.
I've been so excited to have you on the show. But before we dive into your story, let's just chat a second about ADC judging. How was that for you?
Fantastic. People's brains are so beautiful. People were making things that I was just so impressed by. I was on the illustration side, but seeing the level of craftsmanship and detail and energy that was put into all of those works was super inspiring for me as an illustrator as well, and it just makes me want to go in even harder.
Yeah, it's inspiring, it's challenging, it's a really fun time. If anybody get the opportunity to judge,
do it.
Do it.
Do it.
All right, Lo, by now these folks know that I love a juicy origin story, and you have a good one. Please let the people know what you were doing before you turned to illustration and design.
I am a recovering journalist. So I worked in broadcast and in digital production for news. The newsroom was my first home. I've gotten to intern at some really great publications, and my most recent job was as an animator at NBC News during 2020, which was the wildest news cycle ever. So many things were happening.
Yeah, seriously. So that was as recent as 2020. So what was the turning point to art?
Yes. So before everything popped off and we were driven into isolation, I saw one of my coworkers with an iPad. Now, I was doing animation at this point, mostly motion graphics, explainer types of things. But as a kid, I always used to love to draw. And I used to love to draw digitally. Like, I would illegally lift Photoshop, you know what I mean? Because I couldn't afford, the Adobe Creative Suite at that time as a child. So I ended up seeing my coworker with this iPad, and I said, wow, if I had this tool, I wonder where my art could have gone. Especially when I was so young, I was drawing every single day. So I decided to buy a refurbished iPad, and I decided to make a Finsta art Instagram where I would just quietly publish my work to just get myself back in the creative groove. Well, as the pandemic happened, there were so many things, including the murder of George Floyd. And I was the only Black woman in design in my newsroom at that time. So it was an incredibly difficult thing to reckon with, because in journalism, there's this term journalistic objectivity. And that term oftentimes means that people can't have opinions or express their opinions about things like that. And so that was a real struggle for me, because I felt like I had so many things to say and so many things to offer to that conversation. And something that was really important for me was trying to cultivate a sense of joy and resilience during that time, because it was just, people were in isolation. So I started creating artwork under my artist name, Lo Harris. At work I was Lauren Harris. It was a little bit of a Hannah Montana moment. I just whip on a wig, and then suddenly I was Lo Harris, and I was making all this protest art, and I was making all of this stuff that really kind of made people feel a sense of joy and color and community during a time when we were locked in our houses. So that's how Lo Harris was born.
There she is. And since then, you have blown up. You've worked with huge brands, organizations, and celebrities, all almost organically. So I have two questions. If you hopped in the hot tub time machine to the summer of 2020 and told Lauren Harris, since you were Lauren then, that all of this would happen in just over 2 years, what would she say?
Oh, I think that she would just listen and have a glazed over face and say, what is this old lady talking about? And then not really believe her, because I think that at the time I was extremely risk averse. I was somebody who, I was I want the stable job. And my dad always said, oh, you're going to be an entrepreneur one day. You have the entrepreneurial spirit. And I'm like, Larry, please. I just want a stable job. I used to always say I just want to go into news or into advertising and work my way up. And then when I'm 15 years in the industry, then I can have a voice and I can feel equipped. And that was that imposter syndrome, which we talked about already, that was rearing its ugly head. So this stuff kind of just happened so organically, but also so quickly. So I would tell her, I don't know, she would say, oh my gosh, but I would, make sure to let her know, hey, you're ready for this. Anything that comes your way at the time that it comes, you're ready for in that moment. You just have to allow yourself to ride the wave of it.
I have goosebumps. So you mentioned that when you started putting your art out in the world, that you created a Finsta because you weren't super confident about putting it out there for your friends. Would you do it that way again? And what would you say to someone wanting to put their art out there but maybe isn't feeling so confident?
So I would do it that way, but not for the reasons that I did it the last time. So when I did it the last time, I just didn't want my friends to make fun of me while I was trying to find my style. And obviously my friends wouldn't make fun of me. Actually, the people from my real life who have known me before I was doing this Lo Harris thing have been some of the most avid supporters and the cornerstones of community that has really empowered me to remember who I am, even when that's not being affirmed in other spaces. And so I would do it again in the sense that I would want to create that alter ego side. I think when I go home, I'm Lauren, and when I'm online and when I'm doing this art thing, I'm Lo. And I do think that there is a very healthy boundary that is set up by kind of creating these separate identities, because it really allows me to just unbutton my pants and just let it hang loose and just be, but then also Lo Harris is a part of myself. I'm not being inauthentic, but it's nice to have that personal and professional boundary, especially when you're a freelancer and you're on the clock all the time.
Absolutely. And this is actually still connected, but I said I only had 2 follow-ups, so we're considering it a new question. With all of that organic growth, there must have been some huge learnings. What's been one of the biggest?
The biggest learning for me has been the power of the pivot. Pivoting is something that I have been doing for a while, but I didn't really take it that way. When I went to journalism school, like I was going for writing, that was my first thing. And then I realized I hate news writing, like I hate leads, like I want to do something different. And I was introduced to video production, and that's how I really got into teaching myself Premiere. And then that led me to, I used to love Vox videos, and that took me to learning how to do After Effects. And After Effects has brought me so many other opportunities. Like when I was an NBC page, like Kenneth from 30 Rock, like After Effects kept coming up, and my ability to do graphics kept allowing me to do new opportunities. So I think that pivoting, especially even now, like with the economy and everything that's happening, is super important for me because it allows me to stay fluid and active and on my toes and hopeful.
And you've been thrust into just about every medium imaginable, from apparel to children's TV show animations, children's books, graphics, so much. What's been the most fun for you?
I would say one thing that I didn't necessarily know that I wanted, but then when I got it, I was like, ooh, this is riveting, is being able to see my work in Target on apparel. So right now there's some Lora shirts in Target, go get it, But even, working with like the company who, the middleman who is kind of pitching my style to these different retail agencies, being able to see like how they interpret my work into like paper clips or earrings or like stationery. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know, it's almost like seeing my work in like a third or even fourth dimension, being able to see like an interpretation of my art in like a hair clip or something like that. So that's like super exciting for me. And it makes me want to be more tactile and physical with my work. So I've like taken up painting and stuff.
Cool. But art and illustration is only a part of the Lo Harris universe, am I right?
Right.
You are also a personality, an educator. You lift people up and help them follow in your footsteps. Why is that important to you?
That's important for me, both personally and also from like a community standpoint. So personally, I think that especially with the rise of AI and like all of these conversations around creativity and like how artificial intelligence can fit into that, I think that it's super important for illustrators to cultivate a personal brand and to cultivate a universe of their work that extends far beyond just the visuals, but it also goes into the voice. It goes into like how you show up in the physical world, what you're interested in, and having a multidisciplinary approach, I think, is like a super smart thing to have as an illustrator. From the community standpoint, I cultivated this art career in the isolation of the pandemic. Like there was no community. I had to make internet friends and stuff like that. Like there were no illustrators telling me like, this is how you do it, right? So I think that I want to just be the change I want to see. And so I like put a lot of my own funding, a lot of my own time into creating, on my personal website, loharris.com, like a series of educational content for aspiring creative entrepreneurs and freelancers, as well as creating my own podcast, One-on-One with Lo, where I interview creative professionals across various disciplines and industries and really ask questions that are leaning towards almost kind of being a historian and archiving how their careers have gone so far and what advice that they can give to the next generation without them really even knowing it.
Since you dropped it, I'm going to encourage everybody to head to Lo's website, loharris.com, because it is an incredible website, and it's something to aspire to if you're working on your own portfolio and personal branding. It's really amazing.
I put my foot in it.
Yeah. So what's next? What big projects are you dreaming up for your future?
I really want to reimagine One-on-One with Lo. Right now, it's currently on IG Live, but I want to go ahead and start making the move into doing it as like a more traditional podcast where it's on Apple, podcasts and Spotify and what all the kids listen to. I think another thing that I'm super passionate about is really finding out how I can explore retail spaces more and see my work implemented in those ways. And then the third thing is I want to get more animation work in. Animation was my first love, and I'm super interested in being able to do more illustration and art direction and then see how other animators interpret my work, because I love animators. If you can throw some keyframes, we're friends.
So good. Lowell, I don't want you to go, but we're out of time. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your story. I truly can't wait to see what comes next for you. Can we please give it up for Lora? Well, there it is. That's Morning Buzz Live for Creative Week. But before I close this out, I just want to take a moment to recognize all of the hard work behind the scenes that made this happen. This program usually happens behind a laptop on Zoom, and so many people jumped in just a few weeks ago to pull off a fully hybrid format. We've never attempted anything like this, quite like this, in the organization. There were so many people who made this a reality, but can I please get a wave from Reed Perriner, our broadcast and AV manager, and Takumi Segi, who, in addition to being the One Club's graphic designer and Morning Buzz is a branding creator, he lent his knowledge of live streaming to make this a success. And let's hear it for our design, events, web, and all the other folks who played a role this week. Let's hear it for them. But most importantly, let's hear it for you, our audience. Woo! Thank you so much for spending Creative Week with us. I'm going to go cram myself back in a laptop, and I'll see you next time.